Austin Ekeler is a running back for the Los Angeles Chargers. He played his college ball at Western Colorado. Ekeler rushed for well over 1,000 yards in all 4 of his seasons and even led Division II in all-purpose yards per game. He then went undrafted and signed with the Chargers in 2017, where he's been ever since, becoming one of the most recognizable faces on the team and signing a 4-year extension. So these last 2 weeks, Austin, were very focused on the draft, obviously. And that's kind of where your story begins from the national perspective by not getting drafted. Can you explain what those couple days were like for you? You know, what your agent was saying, what your family was saying, what you were feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. First and foremost, glad to be here. But yeah, for me, I came from a smaller school. Like my school in general was like 2,300 students, so it's very small
Wow.
university. Yeah, very small. And up in the mountains in a little valley, a little mountain town that's based off of tourism, right? That's how that town makes a lot of its money. So it was not like a big sports town. So as far as having scouts up there, my like practices, like my senior year, it was like a big deal. It's like, oh, like who are these people? Like we have some outsiders coming up. So it was just, that's the dynamic that I was going into. I definitely had some interest because I did have scouts up there at a lot of my practices. But then just going into the draft, my agent was just telling me like, look, like you came from a school where you don't really have the competition level. Like, no one's ever come out of Western that's gone to the NFL besides one person. And so it's like probably not going to get drafted just because teams feel like they can pick you up. And they feel like teams will just let you slide. And like if you're on the same level as someone else on the draft board and they went to like LSU or a bigger school, they're going to take that person because they have more eyes.
Sure.
And so I wasn't expected to get drafted. So about halfway through the last round of the draft, the Chargers called me. They called my agent. They're like, hey, we're going to take him if he doesn't get picked up in these last few rounds. We'll take him as an undrafted free agent if he wants to sign with us. And that was one of the top choices that I had going into the draft. So it was perfect.
And now, are you watching the draft day by day, like as it goes, or were you kind of like, man, let me just not even watch just to manage your own expectations?
So, I mean, I watched the first round just to see like a few like picks go by. And then the second day I was like, never mind. And the third day I was actually in the gym just listening to it in my ear, just waiting for those final rounds to come by. And then finally, when the seventh round came by, I had like a little get together just in case, something crazy happened and I got drafted. But it still was a special moment getting signed right after the draft.
So in my head, I'm picturing that like a movie scene. Like you're in the gym, you hear each name, every name that's going, and how that has to be such a theme. And then when you finally get the call, you're going to the Chargers. Does being undrafted set a tone? Does that set some kind of separation between you and other guys?
As far as politically and like in the audience wise, yes,
Sure.
but in my head, it was like, no, like I need an opportunity. That's what I was
Hmm.
looking for. I was just looking for an opportunity. I literally dropped out of my last semester of college just to train and just to focus on the opportunity. I was all in on what I had. I was like, hey, this is the most important thing that I want to do right now in my life. And so I dropped everything just to focus on the training. I had great numbers and I did well in college. So I felt like, okay, I'm gonna get an opportunity somewhere. And so when that opportunity finally came, it was like, okay, it's go time for me now. Just continue to pick it up.
Well, that opportunity came on your first NFL carry. You score a touchdown. What was your approach to that rookie year?
Right. So my rookie year, I came in as sixth string into camp. And so, I
Wow.
mean, if you know anything about football, there's not too many sixth stringers that make the team.
Yeah, especially
Right.
running backs.
Right. And so like the thing was I never moved up on the depth chart either during training camp. I was sixth string throughout the entire time. And so, I was getting like a few plays here and there. Most of my plays came on scout teams, special teams. And that's where I made the most impact on the teams, on special teams, going down and making tackles on punt. And, that was my role. That was my job at the time. So I took it super serious, right? That's what's keeping me in the league. And then, slowly started to just get my way into an offensive role for my first regular season carry. It was like the third game against the Eagles for a 34-yard touchdown. People were like, oh, okay, maybe this guy can play. But yeah, like my rookie year, like I think one of my most favorite stats is that I led the NFL in tackles on punt. Like that was because that's
Wow.
what I was doing. That was like my job. Like I'm going down and making tackles on special teams, and I was really good at it too, right? And so even to still today, that's like my favorite. Like I almost had 1,000 receiving yard season, but I still love my punt stat. That just sticks out to me because that's just how I got into the league, right? I just showed that I can do more than just play one position. I can do it all.
Yeah, that's dope. Now, if it was me in your shoes, right, and the very first carry, I rushed for 35 yards or 34 yards and scored a touchdown, I'm thinking that every time I touch the ball, I'm going to score. Did you have that mentality now? Like, yo, I might score every time I touch the football.
Not quite, not quite. I'd caught a few passes before then, like 3 or 4, and so I understood the speed of the game. And then finally got my first carry and just had a solid block. He made a guy miss and scored. And so I mean, my average was pretty good right there. I should have probably never touched the ball again. Just kept my 34-yard average. But no, I knew it was going to be a little bit harder than that. But my mentality every time I get the ball is like, let's go make something happen.
Well, sticking with the topic of the draft, this year, one of the big surprises was Trey Lance out of North Dakota State going 3rd overall to San Francisco. Your teammates with his college teammate, Easton Stick. Have you ever had conversations with Easton about Trey Lance and what he can be in the NFL?
No, actually, I mean, I don't even follow college football at all, so I can't put any input on that. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's different because I came from a really small Division II school, right. So I like follow my school, and that's about it. Like I'm not in any of these big conferences that are always talked about, right? No one talks about the RMAC. No one even knows what it stands for. It's a Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. That's where I play, so that's what I follow.
To be fair, I did know that.
Oh, let's go. Yeah. Okay.
College football is my sport. That's what I cover. And I actually got to cover Trey Lance at North Dakota State, and I had a couple of their games, but I think that's the same mentality from where they're coming from. Now, they're a powerhouse in their conference and where they're coming from. But, I mean, there's got to be this thing amongst D2, D3 players in the NFL where you kind of like keep track of each other, right?
I do, because there's a few people from the RMAC. Ryan Jensen, just won the Super Bowl. He's the center for the Buccaneers, right? Like we played against each other in college. And Danny Woodhead, he was a guy that I looked up to, coming from the same conference. Played for like 9 years. Even played for the Chargers for most of his career. So like just guys like that. I just stay in touch with these guys.
Now, Austin, after being, in the league for a couple of years now, you were the first undrafted running back with 5+ receiving scores in the first 2 years of your career. When you see and hear stats like that, knowing from where you came, right, knowing your journey, does it feel surreal at all?
I don't think so. I think it's just been part of the journey and part of just the process that I've been going through, because I've been trying so hard and putting this at the top of my priority list, and it feels like I'm just going down the line. I've taken advantage of every opportunity that's been in front of me as far as the NFL, and I continue just to really focus on this. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm expecting myself to have some type of progress here, and I think it was surreal mostly in the first year, because that was like the year I'm like, okay, let me see how this is going to go. Do I fit in here? Like, am I physically able and capable to be a leader or even just be on the team? And as I've just kind of learned the business now, it's like, okay, I can see myself having a lot of success here as long as I stay with it and stay healthy. And that's kind of just been how it is. Like, I don't take it for granted. I always remember where I came from. That I have to continue to keep working, but I'm expecting results from myself. So it doesn't seem like it's like, surprising if something good happens. Like, I'm working towards this.
A lot of people are expecting a lot of your whole team this year. New stadium, new head coach, reigning offensive rookie of the year. What are you all doing on the field, maybe just offensively, that makes you a real threat in the AFC?
Last year, we had some ups and downs. Crazy year, just Herbert in his first year. I think what's going to make us a threat, we have to be an explosive offense just in general, just to be able to compete with the Chiefs. And the rumors of Aaron Rodgers trying to end up in the Broncos, whatever he's trying to do.
Don't want to talk about it.
It's gonna make it. Regardless, we got Pat Mahomes in our division, so we're gonna have to have some firepower. That's what our coaches are trying to do, right? They're trying to put us in the best positions. We have a lot of playmakers on the team, and it's like, how can I get these guys in the best position to make play? And so that's what every NFL team's trying to do every single year. But we have to find a new chemistry that really works for us. That's why we get new coaches. That's why coaches move around so much, because everyone's trying to find, okay, who's got the right scheme for my team? How can we get the chemistry build up? And so I can't tell you what it's going to be because we got to find out by playing. But I know I can tell you this: we're all looking forward to another opportunity to compete.
Now, I heard when Brandon Staley got the job, when it was announced back in January, that he called you to talk about anything but football. Like, what did he say when he picked up the phone and you answered?
Right. Yeah. I was actually surprised. Like I usually don't like answer random calls, but it was like
Right.
just some number. I didn't know who this was. I'm like, hello, It's like, hey, it's Coach Staley. He's like, oh shoot, what's up, Coach?
Wow.
At the time, I was like, I knew we hired a coach, but I forgot. I was like, is this the head coach?
Oh my gosh.
I didn't realize it, right? Like it was more like, okay, now. And then he started talking to me. I was like, okay, this is our new head coach. And then we just started talking about relationships, talking about his mentality, just talking about just how he wants to go forward and just, get to know us. And I thought that was really special because, especially in times like today where we don't have a lot of one-on-one time with each other in the same building, we're on Zooms a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's really important for me to get to know you as a person so I can get behind what you believe in. Because if I don't know you and you're like, oh, we're going to do this, do that, it doesn't sink in as much. But if I know you personally, and if like I care about you as a person too, because I like what you believe in, I know what you're about, then, I can play and I can really get behind what you're saying, and I can put that to the rest of the team, to the younger guys too. So yeah, I love the way he's come and implement himself. Definitely is a competitor, wants to see us all compete at the same time, and I love that too.
Now, Austin, I know that you are in the streamer world, but also, and maybe most pressing, you are doing some things with NFTs, which seem to be all of the buzz right now. What can you tell us about these 30 NFTs? And if you had to explain it in one line to my grandmother, what is an NFT?
Yeah, NFT, like you said, I'm in the stream world, so I'm big in the digital space right now. I love content, and I feel like NFT is a new form of content. But that's like more static, right? So if I was explaining it to someone who had no idea what the heck an NFT was, which is a non-fungible token, is what the acronym stands for. But then you're still like, okay, what the heck does that mean? Right, so basically, imagine a painting on the wall. Okay, this is more than one sentence. Basically, it's digital artwork. So instead of it on the wall, it's on your computer, it's on your virtual reality room, it's digital. So it's like you can put it on a USB drive. You can put your painting on the wall in a box. So you can't put your digital artwork in a box. You can put it in a box with a USB. So I see it as digital artwork, right? People can take a picture I can take a picture of the Zoom call and make it a picture on the wall, right? Or I can also make it digitally, which would be the NFT. Right. And so there's a place where it started. It can't be like replicated. The exact one can be technically replicated, but there is only one original, and you can prove it through the blockchain. And so that's how I would explain it. Maybe it's still confusing, but it's just digital confusing,
artwork. But I understand it a little
digital
more.
Artwork.
Got it. Digital artwork. Now you're doing 30 of them, right?
Yeah. So yeah, obviously my number's 30. So we're dropping 30 NFTs. Haven't decided. We needed to get a little promo for it before we drop them, but they're going to be 3 different types. 7 or 9 of them are going to be one type, gold, and then there's going to be a platinum version of one of them too. So it's just artwork. It's just artwork. And it's stuff that incorporates my life, right? So there's some working out, there's some football stuff. And it's just a fun way for me to give new content to my community.
Okay, Austin, I mean this with all respect, but do you have a little nerd side to you?
I absolutely have a nerd side to me. Okay. I'm in streaming, I'm in gaming. I love to learn about stocks, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't even know what the definition of nerd is anymore, because I feel
I agree.
Just people that just love to learn about things and do a lot of digital stuff. That's the new wave, right? So I feel like we all have to have a little nerd side to us, right?
For sure. Everyone has a nerd side. It's really refreshing though when you see an athlete with one, it just to show more dimensions of who you are. Do you feel like at this point in your career, because you're coming into your own on the field, I mentioned the contract extension, you started every game you played last year, you're a very established player in this league. Do you feel like now you're trying to kind of incorporate other sides of your personality and your hobbies?
Right. I think it's imperative for NFL players to do that, right? Because here's the thing: if you come into the NFL and you're not a superstar in the NFL, and you don't if you're a superstar, your brand is created naturally through your play and just through people getting visually seeing you and the media, stuff like that. But if you're a guy like me coming in, no one knew who the heck I was. And so it was my job, in my opinion, to go out and show people who I am besides a football player. Because if you're not a superstar and your football career ends, guess what? If you didn't build a brand, then people forget about you. Think about all the players that retire every year that no one even knows, right? And so it happens every year, right? It happens all the time, and it's going to continue to happen. But it's let me capture as a player. It's my job to capture as much of this platform and try to take them with me and try to get them to care about me for a different reason besides football. So that's why I do all the streams. That's why I provide so much content. That's why I'm doing these big events with my Gridiron Gaming Group company, just to try to create awareness and let people come in and actually just like show who they are besides a football player, right? And at the same time, it just allows me to like run a big event and be in front of people, and so like it benefits me too, just to build this platform.
That's smart.
And that's something that we're seeing, in many sports, like just athletes kind of just leaning into who they really are in their personal brands. We had Chad Ochocinco Johnson on, and he was telling us how big into gaming he is. There was a little bonding moment between Olivia and Chad's lady, because Olivia's upset with how much time her guy spends on the game, Warzone specifically. If you had to estimate how much time you're spending when it comes to gaming, streaming, what would that number be?
In the off-season numbers.
In the off season, okay, because it's varied. It's been different because I'm super busy right now trying to get GGG and stuff off the ground. So I probably stream 3 days a week for like 2 hours. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I'll do that, but I'll also play some video games in between there for like an hour, like every day. So that's committing like 6 plus, let's say 7. Yeah, so like 13 hours a week. I was dedicated to just like content creation or like gaming for personal, like just preference.
Olivia, how does that stack up to Sam's numbers?
Well, I'm looking at my husband playing Warzone right now behind a glass door, and here's where I am okay with this, is because he does it with his brother, all of his friends, all this. So it's like if I were to meet some of my girlfriends for a drink, it's like almost the same thing. It's so social to them. That's where I've waved the white flag. I'm like, okay, I get it. But no, I think women and wives and girlfriends around the country and world have the same plight. So I get it.
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's like our competitive nature as men. We just love to like be on video games and yelling at each other and having a good time socially. I don't know if that's what it is or what it is. Like, I think that's what it is for me, right? It's like for me to compete or like adventure in like some other like world or, that is, away from reality.
For sure. No, that's cool. Well, we were talking actually before we started recording about Phillip Rivers. You obviously played with him with the Chargers. Such a long tenured, obviously, player in the league. So you go from that to Justin Herbert. What's it like in that huddle on game day, going from such a vet to a rookie who's ultimately going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, the biggest difference was just kind of, how we were treating the huddle. Like when Phillip was the huddle, when he was running the huddle, it was like he knows everything. People would ask him questions like, hey, I got this, I got that. You're right. And now with Herbert in here, especially when he first started the first game, we were just making sure we've all been playing together for a while. We had a lot of skilled veterans in there. And so we all knew the scheme like the back of our hand. We've been running the same stuff for a long time. So we were just like, okay, like there'd be times where Herbert would mess up the play call, but then we like correct him, like, oh, it's this. And so we were just like giving him confidence in us, like, hey, we know what we're doing out here. We got your back. And so that's like, 360, as he continued to go through the season, he started to, gain more just experience and more knowledge of the game, and actually saw that when I injured myself and then finally came back. Well, I didn't injure myself. I got injured and came back. I just saw his growth as far as how he was calling plays and how he was actually like changing the protections. And it was pretty cool to see. He's a really smart guy. And it's just, I love to be around him just because he's just like, hey, I'm about football. I'm about the boys. Let's all go out here and have a good time and win some football games. And he's super competitive as well. Like I've seen him get angry a few times. So I like that. Like if something bad happens, hey man, it's okay to get angry. Like, you didn't want that to happen. So I like seeing his competitive side come out too.
Yeah, I like that. Do you have a good story that kind of gives us a glimpse of what he's like?
I wish I had more time with him. Like I said, I only played, like half the season. But I just remember I seen his confidence build when coach told him like what the play was, and apparently he told him again because he looks at the sideline and goes, I know. And I was like, yeah, let's go, Herbert. Like at the beginning of the year, wouldn't have said that. But now I'm like, okay, now he's getting some confidence out here. Like he's getting it. He understands. And so I love to see that fire in it. Let's go.
For sure. I love that.
Well, Austin, whether it's on the Real Gridiron or in your Gridiron Gaming Group, what can people expect from you coming up in the near future?
Yeah, from the real gridiron, on the field, my goal is always to build off of what I did last year. And so, I'm trying to build off what I did last year as far as stay on the field, stay healthy. I was putting up some numbers. I was being efficient. I was killing it. I was so excited about the season. And then, had some adversity come, but, had to overcome. That's the life of an athlete. And so trying to stay on the field this entire season, and then off field and Gridiron Gaming Group. For those of you that don't know, we stream on Twitch. I'm at Austin Ekeler on Twitch. I talk about a lot of mental health, talk about physical health, I talk about social life and motivations. I just think it's very important for all of us to hear, certain things. And I just talk about kind of my experience, and sometimes it applies to people, sometimes it doesn't. But come check us out. We do bigger events. Our next big event will be around the Indy 500. Just like we have a bunch of different athletes in Gridiron Gaming Groups. We have Connor Daly, he's an IndyCar driver, and that's like our next big event that's going to be coming up. There's no date. Just follow us on Instagram, or follow me on Instagram to find updates and stay connected.
Awesome. Well, Austin, thank you so much for pulling up, bro. We appreciate you, and all the best.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for the opportunity. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Stay healthy.
Thank you. See you guys.